I want a sandwich. Now. Oh, sandwich wench. Yo, wench. Sandwich. Now. I'm going to need a sandwich. A sandwich. I'm going to need a sandwich. A sandwich. I'm going to need a sandwich. A sandwich. A sandwich. A sandwich. I'm going to need a sandwich. A sandwich. I'm going to need a sandwich. A sandwich. A sandwich. Oh, sandwich wench. I want a sandwich. Sandwich.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another political recap stream here on the Moisky Live channel. Hope you're all having a marvellous day today. Joining me to talk about some bits and bobs that will get this stream demonetized, as they often do, is Trups. Say hi, Trups.
Hello, Trups. I have my regular water bottle with me.
No cracking can sound or anything? No.
No. I'll make sure to get like a can, like a bunch of cans of seltzer. I'm trying to be better. I am.
Seltzer.
Yeah.
White trash.
Well, no, not like the White Claw.
Oh, my mistake.
I hate that shit. That shit's gross.
I will defer to your superior knowledge of white trash.
Imagine it like, okay, so sparkling water, right?
Yeah, abomination of a drink,
add,
yes.
And then add like a vague,
oh,
like,
I know what they are.
lingering taste.
My sister got a few for Christmas last year, and I drank one because I didn't know what it was. I was like, I'll drink it, and I was like, this just tasted like sparkling water, and I hated it.
I was gonna say it tastes like dirt.
Where was the alcohol? I can't feel it. I'm baffled by this.
Oh, that's the worst part, though. When you don't notice it, that's when it's dangerous.
It could be, but I'll be honest. I spent the rest of the day drinking snowballs that I made, so they were very, very heavy. And
what do you mean? I hadn't ripped the bong yet. No, not a bong. It's a hookah. Sorry, somebody in the chat.
Oh right, yeah, that's Ducky Chav Quacker. Hello, Bry. Hello, MJ. Hello, Chav. Hope you're all well. Sorry, your name is Puckle Juice at the moment on my server, I believe. Puck, because you're apparently you love to suck on pickles. Anyway, how is Trups? How is Trups?
I'm okay. You know, I'm hanging in there.
Yeah.
I have a buddy coming tomorrow to hang out for a week, and then next week I have LARP for the first time of this year. Ooh.
Oh, it's been a while, hasn't it?
Yes.
Because you and I have done a fair few streams without any interruptions.
Ever since I think the 1st of January.
Yeah.
Or
I think we're on like we're on like 9 or 10 now. It's been pretty good.
Yeah.
You need a break anyway. You work quite hard.
Well, you know, depends on who's carrying the stream most of the time, which is usually you.
Well, I have the energy. My mouth just rejects the idea of me talking too much. I didn't stream on Twitch earlier because my gum hurt, so I was like, you know, I'm going to take a break from talking for a bit.
I completely understand.
For those who don't know, listening to Spotify or watching this on Rumble, I had dental surgery on Wednesday and I had to have an extraction. It was quite uncomfortable. It has clotted over nicely, at least. It's just my gum needs time to heal from that. And obviously I can't eat the things I want to eat, a lot of which happen to be quite crunchy. It annoys me because, to be honest, my comfort food is actually chocolate. And I can eat that, but I can't eat it the way I want to eat it. Because
you bite into chocolate?
No, I like to suck on chocolate.
Ah, okay, good.
I can't do that.
Superior way.
I can't do that though because it will tear the clot out of my mouth.
I have so obviously I have a smoking problem.
Can't smoke after an extraction either.
No, I can't. At least for that day, I will strictly not smoke.
So I've given up whiskey for a week, and I don't mind that. I don't have withdrawal or anything like that. I'm not an addict yet. I'm quite happy to because I've got a little leaflet here that explicitly states things you shouldn't do. The sucking thing, I know about that because I did that before I was on YouTube. I had an extraction, and it was on the other side, right next to a wisdom tooth. But I was sucking through a straw the entire time and wondering why my mouth was still bleeding. And I didn't read the leaflet until I read the leaflet and realised and stopped, and everything was fine. So I just know I can't touch a lot of the foods I want to touch. So I stocked up on Greek yogurt. I was like, there we go, problem solved.
True.
Can't do a lot of working out either.
Well, I'm not sure how that impacts, but I believe you.
What I mean is, I tried to do press ups and noticed when I was pushing with my head flat, level with the ground, sort of like my body, it was creating a pressure in my gum. So there were certain exercises I can't do at the moment either, which is fine. I can adjust to that. You know, it's a bit of an inconvenience. I've taken solace in the news because it's tickled me to no end. Whether it be memes that I didn't understand, and then when I understood, I was like, oh no. I've been laughing at memes that actually are more tragic than they are. Isn't that a good thing? Well, we'll talk about
show it to me after. How about that?
No. We can talk about it during the stream because it involves somebody we can talk about. But there's other things in the news today, like. Oh,
I think I know what you're talking about now.
I'm glad you caught up. There was a guy in our UK politics who got voted in recently who I never thought I'd see in politics again, and I'm cracking up because I can't believe some absolute bonkers shite is going down. It's sorry.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So bonkers.
Bonkers shite, yawn.
Yeah. It couldn't be helped. Okay, it's been a long day. I
understand.
I will admit, the meme I saw involved Mortal Kombat, fatality, and somebody standing in fire.
Yeah. That is what I thought it was talking about. Yeah.
Oh yeah. It was. To be fair, I didn't know what it was because I'd only just woken up at that point. I looked at my phone, saw the meme, and thought it was hilarious. It just looked kind of cool. It just looked like 8-bit gameplay footage, and then I found out what it really was, and the person got they got done for violating Twitter policy, and I was like, well, this is not as funny anymore.
This is darker than I expected.
I wasn't ready. I hadn't had my breakfast. I needed time to fire my synapses up and then realize, oh, this is still funny. It's just really, really dark, as you've stated. I will admit. So perhaps we should talk about that first because
sure, why not?
Okay, I'm gonna pull up a source. The individual we're going to talk about first, which will get us demonetized first, is Aaron Bushnell. What do you know of Aaron Bushnell?
He was a Air Force veteran. I guess you would consider him a veteran at this point.
Air Force, Air Force Airman, yeah.
Yeah. But he decided to commit self-arson.
Sudoku, yes.
Yeah. For the glory of Palestinian motherland.
Is there a special chant for that one?
Probably. All I know is that, yes, I'm being a little bit dismissive.
What I've done is, on the screen, I have highlighted what he is trying desperately not to say.
Yeah, well, yes, he did that, and it was because of America's involvement in atrocities committed in Gaza.
This to me seemed a bit extreme, if that makes sense. Because I saw not only memes, I saw people disavowing, and I've got some of the tweets of that because we'll get to that soon. So he, when he had decided that Sudoku was the way forward, he would shout "Free Palestine." 9 hours later, sadly, he passed away. He was 25 years old. Now, to die for your cause, many believe makes you an idiot. Others, many also believe makes you a martyr for a cause, depending on your interpretation of what has unfolded. I I saw this when I finally sort of got round to actually bothering to pay attention because I was working. And, yeah, I was too busy laughing at what I thought was a harmless meme. And to me, this is it's a strange one because I didn't see it. I didn't think this would happen. Like anyone would be this, because on the face of it, it reminds me of is it Buddhists that set themselves on fire in protest?
I know it's some monk. I'm not gonna pretend.
Yeah.
To
Okay. It reminded me
assign.
of some monks that do that. I do apologize if I've
I
got
know
that wrong.
the Indians did that against the British.
We didn't mind, but yeah, it's just
You did, actually. You did quite a bit.
it's probably because it's very very uncouth, and we just I found that a bit odd to go down that path knowing you were no longer going to be there to state your reasoning or intent, what you believe needed to be done to change. It's interesting because I had got recommended a movie around the time this happened called Unthinkable, and in the movie Samuel L. Jackson, Carrie Ann Moss, two different sides of a similar coin. He, a torture specialist, her FBI. He has to torture the living feck out of Michael Sheen because he is a converted Muslim and he's planted nuclear bombs around the entire US somewhere. She doesn't like his methods to get the job done, but when they're trying to get the job done, the terrorist in this still deceives even when he kills himself because the torture specialist didn't actually. He knew there was extra. Like it was an odd movie to get recommended when this happened to me because it felt like it tied in a little bit in a way, and I just can't articulate it.
A little too close to home.
Yeah, it felt like it. I feel slightly sorry for Bushnell because he's going to get memed by the internet as he should. He's going to be criticised regardless of what he did because somebody will look for an excuse to downplay what he has done and take out or distract from what he believes he stood up for, which in this would be a ceasefire, which I believe is being considered by Israel now. I had heard rumors.
I'm unsure, but I remember seeing an article saying that Hamas had basically said no to a ceasefire, which could affect the other end of this problem.
Yeah, in the article, it actually does state, basically in a more articulate manner, what I thought, that a person of commitment and depth of feeling could be much more useful to the world if he were alive. I don't believe the word profound that they'd use there is relevant in the slightest, because that makes him seem like he's more than what he is. But the idea of commitment and depth of feeling, I think it's an important voice to have. Yeah? If you really want to achieve meaningful peace, why don't you want to be here to achieve it? Why do you believe that your solution is the ultimate form of violence, but it's against yourself?
I think it was because he wanted to bring like a casualty home. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of these issues, when it comes to these types of displays, are usually more attention grabbing than they are functional.
Yeah.
Like, yes, of course, like, why would you self-immolating is not going to solve the issue in Gaza. Yes, we know. It's a form of their way of fighting against the power, ? But I don't think it's a very valid one due to, well, I don't want to say the callousness of the internet, but it is a bit, yeah.
I'll get to that in a minute, don't you worry. The Dem socialists, they had retweeted by mentioning the rejecting complicity in the US as genocide in Gaza. I had seen, where was it? So there was a tweet from Midnight Mitch that was retweeted by others saying, imagine being a leftist and trying to make a serious point by setting yourself on fire, but then a shitposter turns your agonizing death throes into a Mortal Kombat meme that will be remembered long after whatever stupid reason you killed yourself, even who you were. That was the meme I saw. So Midnight Mitch was the one that did it, and it got yeeted by Twitter. Sorry. I'd seen Yeah, I saw other things though, and it was the rest in power Aaron Bushnell. And
Ooh,
somebody had said,
that's a naughty
"Can we
thing. You
not use
can't do
this
that.
phrase on white men, please? I get the sentiment, but rest in power is historically used to mourn black people." That was community noted, by the way. Actually, rest in
Mhm.
power came from a Filipino person. And then I saw Ministry of Truth, Aaron Bushnell, hottest man of the year.
Oh my god.
Okay, getting off that because I'll get into trouble. But yeah, the memes were everywhere, and it got quite spicy.
It's funny.
I'll bring us
It's
back
funny
here.
as shit.
I don't want to get into trouble for community guideline violations or anything. I'm just going to say,
Sure. I mean,
obviously
don't
the
get me wrong.
memes are inappropriate. Of course they are. But if you can't, sometimes you just got to accept the internet is going to mock you regardless of who you are.
Yes, and it is a shame. Don't get me wrong. Like, I don't like the idea that anybody, commits any kind of violence or feels the need that they have to.
Agreed.
Like, that is a shame, and
Yeah.
that needs to be said. That being said, you kind of chose a poor avenue, in this case, which is honestly, if you were a bad guy in that area and you saw that somebody had done that, you might take a minor victory lap
Mm-hmm.
because, wow, I didn't even have to fight that guy, but he killed himself. Nice. Which is, I mean, it's dark, but remember, we're not talking about good people here. We're talking about the bad people, right? I understand that it's not indicative of the rest of the area. Like, Hamas is not indicative of all of I get that.
Mm-hmm.
But the bad guys are definitely looking at that as a win.
Oh yeah, 100%. I personally, obviously, would rather he still be around, but he has the right to choose his future, his path, I guess.
What I think is the most tragic is that he believed that this would mean something, and I think that is a fault of his political ideation.
So
there were okay, go on.
First thing, Buddhist monk, I was correct earlier. Second, apparently the grim truth is that self-immolation is making a revival as left-wing protest tactics as a left-wing protest tactic in the US. I'm just going to say now, if you're left-leaning and you want to go with this as your tactic, I promise you, more people on the right are going to go, I guess we don't have to worry then about debating you morons if you're going to off yourselves with fire. Funeral costs are going to go right down, though.
What do you mean? We'll offer thoughts and prayers.
That's about it. You're not going to change your policy, are you?
Well, that depends. Does anybody... No, I'm not going to say it.
I know what you're going to say as well. Resist the urge.
I will do my best. But the thing is like, he was definitely indoctrinated by the internet against Israel.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, he had even left some social medias open, and he had said that all Israel needs to pay for their crimes, including children. So I'm not necessarily as feeling bad about this guy choosing the out that he did because of the opinions that he holds, which are so disgustingly barbaric.
Yeah.
To actually insinuate that the children of Israel deserve, death as well. I don't quite appreciate it. And I think that anybody who does kind of go down that road, well, less tears shed for you than somebody else.
I just want to highlight, by the way, this article. It references that America is no stranger to political violence, and it paints certain pictures under Trump's administration. It doesn't mention all the atrocities that are happening under Biden's administration.
No, that would require them to have...
That is so disingenuous.
Integrity?
Like, I would argue it was worse under Trump because nobody was willing to admit there was a problem with it. It's worse under Biden because, again, no one's willing to admit there's a massive problem with it. So you realise I made it seem like both are just as bad, right? No, they're worse for different reasons. They're worse because under the Republicans, they noticed it and pointed it out and everyone ignored them. And under the Democrat administration, they're ignoring it because it benefits them. Like, bitch, shut the fuck up.
Well, you know what's interesting is that, they'll the political violence, right, that occurred under Trump was pretty much one-sided. Like, if you look at, who was it who burned down the cathedral outside the White House? Who was it that performed the Summer of Love? Who was it who shot conservatives just, for being conservatives? Who was it who said, you confront them and you drum up a crowd and you tell them that they are not welcome?
Yeah.
All these things exist.
In the chat, a rather interesting point of hating a two-party system. I think it's another one of those like status quo things where it's become so ingrained that is the norm. It has to be accepted as an absolute fact, an immutable fact, a fixed point, which is frustrating when you want to impact change because you can't, because of the nature of what you have. Like we mentioned insurance companies a few weeks back being predatory by nature. I was talking to somebody yesterday, and it further proved the point because they found a tiny little loophole and decided to forego a vitally important surgery for somebody because of one tiny little thing they deemed inconsequential, yet it was vitally important. They just decided arbitrarily. It's predatory by nature. I would argue the same can be said for politics. In my country, although it's 3, yours for 2, it's the same thing. It's always going to be like that, I'm afraid. And no amount of bleating on from us will ever change that. Not in our lifetimes, anyway.
Well, yeah, and not only that, but the insurance company thing is an entirely different bag of worms that I.
Oh, it is. I agree. It's just to me the predatory aspect of it. I feel like does actually apply to politics because you saw what happened under Trump when somebody who was non-political became a politician. Suddenly they were like, our echo chamber of politics and how it is, the status quo, the norm, is under threat. So we must now deal with that virus. So it felt like a very predatory thing to maintain a system as it is, as opposed to actually changing it, which is what he was trying to do.
Yeah, and
Sliggins, thank you for becoming a member. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Sliggins.
Hope you don't mind us being dickheads.
He joined the group. That means he understands.
Oh, sweet.
But I agree with MJ and Arcater though.
I have to agree with them.
The two-party system in the U.S. and it might translate into
it does
into the UK a bit.
It does. It just does.
I don't believe that we really have a functional two-party system anyway. We have an establishment, right? We have people who have made careers out of politics.
Well, this is where the career politician thing is a problem, really, isn't it?
Right.
How long can you actually say you represent the people that voted for you? And when does it stop? At what point does it stop and become a self-serving aspect? Because I understand, by the way, in my country, 5-year terms, that's what you get, and then you run for election. Yours is 2 for your Congress, equivalent to our member of Parliament. Obviously, political systems are vastly different, but let's just point a 2-year term. I understand why you'd want to campaign for your terms to serve for long, because obviously your job is under threat all the time. I think that's a good idea though, to keep you honest. But I also believe in term limits. I think the same applies to my guys that get 5 years, and there should be term limits for that as well. Like with Congress, I think 5 at most for you guys, and I think 3 at most for ours.
Yeah, I'm down with that.
We've discussed this before, by the way.
yeah, I know.
I'm happy to carry it on though, because honestly, it's completely relevant.
It is, but I feel like we'll neglect things if we will. If we get too deep into it.
And how can you represent those? Represent if you never experience what they go through. Yeah, that too. There are many who are out of touch. You see it in other countries where they have leaders that are so out of touch they live within a fortress. Can't imagine what that's like.
Fun
Okay.
story about that explicit idea, by the way.
Okay.
You said, how can you help those who are you represent if you've never experienced what they go through?
Mm-hmm.
Weirdly enough, this can actually transition to something that I wanted to mention because I saw Meg put out a video this week that I loved to watch, which dealt with. It was the Hassan one again.
Oh man, do you think he's a bitch? Think he's a little
Absolutely.
bitch? He's a proper. Him and Asmongold are absolute sausages.
I was so upset, but I came up with $1 million idea. Would you like to know what it is?
Take it from Hassan.
No, well, yes, but no. I want somebody like Mr. Beast to put up these streamers, and I mean the ones who have been doing this for some long years, right? Yeah. I want them to spend a week not streaming, no other income, working a fucking 9-to-5 job.
You're doing the life swap. That's a TV show.
I want Undercover Boss.
No. We had a similar version to that. It was a life swap. We had very well, for example, there was episode in Liverpool, page 3 model. Her name was Katie something. She swapped with a full-time cleaner as a job. Mm-hmm. And this is a page 3 model who was making hundreds of thousands a year, getting her tits out, right? The cleaner cleaned public toilets and made barely minimum wage. They swapped for a week. And the page 3 model had so much respect for what she did at the end of it. She really struggled to, change from that life she'd lived. I think she's with one of the Arctic Monkeys now, so she doesn't really have to give a shit anymore. But the cleaner then did the modelling work for a bit. And it was a real, mind fuck to have all this attention on you to, provide the chesticle goods, as it were. And they had it in other occupations as well, and I found it fascinating. It's like wife swap.
No, we're not.
Was that it as well?
We're not talking. No. Wife swap is a different.
No. Wife swap. They had people from different families, a wealthy family and a poor family. And the wives would swap places. Rich family and a poor family. They'd understand then the struggle of a poor family, or understand how good you get it as a rich family. That's what these streamers, XQC, Hassan, Faker, and Asmongold, who lives in a house full of cockroaches, yet he's a millionaire. It's hilarious. To me, these out of touch buffoons need to get this. I mean, I would argue I might not understand it as much as I used to, but I still live in a house where we struggle to pay the electric bill, so I do understand it.
Yeah, and I would really want to see this because, first of all, entertaining as shit. Could you imagine?
Hassan would get so triggered he would leave.
I know. It would be great.
That fake bro would get so triggered he would rage quit and go to a hotel. It'd go
do you know how angry that man would get if he was working as a cook in the back of a fucking restaurant?
So I would rather him do it than Asmongold, solely because Asmongold's room is filled with trash and bugs.
Yeah, I've seen the videos.
I mean, those two are so out of touch. XQC would actually rage quit and start acting like a minor in front of everyone. He'd literally ask someone to change his nappy.
Yeah, and the goal would be you have to not get fired.
I mean, you could throw in some of the female ones. The problem there is, and that would be one
them too. No, they fucking deserve it too.
Yeah, the problem with them is they would just use their OnlyFans money, OnlyFupa failed adult film actor money, and just disappear somewhere else as well. They'd all rage quit. They won't commit to it. But I'd love to see them do it.
Well, I mean, if we used it in the same way that we could, people are using box me, bro.
Yeah.
As a way to, shame people into confrontation, we could do that too. Oh, why don't you go on this show and show us that, your job really is as hard as you say, or that you don't because the biggest problem is with people like Asmon and Hassan, unapologetically, they take money from us, the regular people, right? People who work jobs, and that pays them, right? Ads go not nearly as far as the as donations do.
Yeah.
And if you were to take away that, opportunity for them to get that access, oh my God, the world would be different.
Absolutely.
And
I would love to see that. By the way, I wasn't as harsh as I wanted to be in that video. I wanted to be harsh. Problem is, I vaguely understood something from his perspective. It was the point of social battery. Like, I understand that as a point because I myself am very introverted. So I can only be around people for a certain amount of time before I run out of all energy.
Sure.
But when it comes to streaming, it's completely different. Because I sit here and I'm on Twitch when I'm playing games or something, right? And I am just... The only issue I have is making sure I have enough topics to talk about. I don't do politics over there because I don't want to. I do it here because it's focused. On Twitch, I just want to bullshit my way through a bit of video gameplay and just have a laugh. He devotes himself and has built himself up as a grifting hack that solely talks about shitting on Republicans or conservative people and reacting to other people's content because he hasn't had an original idea since Tim Burton came up with Beetlejuice. Right, Hassan's last original idea he attempted to was the bro crap, trying to act like Elon Musk light.
Oh, but that was funny. Like, it was funny in how cringe it was.
It was funny because his head was so small and his body was so big. He was a torso caricature.
Yes, true.
With a gigantic neck. I've got a fairly sturdy frame. Not like that motherfucker. That's complete. Although I would argue Hassan's frame is highly... When he got challenged to a fight with Sam, when Sam Hyde challenged him, there was no point. Hassan is not remotely functional. His body is not designed to be a functional attack style. And this is proven by Alan Richardson, who plays Jack Reacher. He himself he's built very similarly to Hassan, but a bit more refined. But he himself has pointed out he cannot do more than 3 minutes in action scenes before he gasses. The same would happen to Hassan because he's all very aesthetic, masthetic, which is muscular aesthetics. He is not like I'm not built like a brick house. I am functional muscle, not masthetics. Mine serves a purpose.
What's the word? It's not vascular, is it?
What's that?
Muscular, but has veins pumping out. What's that word?
Impractical and disgusting looking and easy to insert things.
Whatever. if you're like outright muscular, there's only if there's nothing else behind it.
Yeah.
Which is that conditioning that actual, gym people do go through.
Well, for a certain amount of time,
you'll notice some of the best power lifters in the world.
They're big.
They are not like muscular by what you would it's not a strongman competition.
Yeah.
But they are large men.
Oh yeah, they
and they are strong as ox.
It's because to repair the muscles, the average body, if you do heavy lifting, your body needs 10 days to recover. You can't do heavy lifting for 10 days. Some have managed to get that down to 7, but it's still that many days. And this is where Hassan, his frame, he's now he's not as muscular or big as he used to be because he's lazy, but he was and he's still a big person. But his laziness is the prevailing quality. He moans about his social battery, but his social battery is based on being a career contrarian grifting hack that craps on conservatives. And there's a lot of C's in there, so do appreciate the attempt at alliteration. But
I did appreciate it.
I'm glad you did. I find him to be an exhausting type, but only because he wants to exhaust himself so he can kind of get sympathy for it. But there's no sympathy to be had.
And MJ makes a good point. Political talk is exhausting. Yes, but when you don't care about what's true, it's a lot easier.
And that is often the case with Hassan, because he goes into things with confirmation bias in his heart. He's not interested in finding the truth, like a good journalist. He is instead interested in finding what he believes is truthful to him and nothing more. Lacking critical thought is, his bread and butter, really. He did, after all, work with the Young Turks for years.
True.
And he did that crap
it is
beacon climb.
it is very difficult to be honest doing politics.
Yes.
That part is very, very difficult.
It's only because
Luckily-
that's the point of the status quo, though. Because if you are honest, and it goes against the status quo of protecting the integrity of the political echo chamber, you're gonna lose.
Right, and there's also your social battery will go down a lot faster. The effort that you put into these things. Yeah, it's gonna hurt.
That's why I said that I understood. I could empathize a bit with him, but then he chooses to. He's one of the biggest political commentators on Twitch. He chooses to stream for 9 hours on this. This sounds like an awful lot like a you problem. You don't have to stream that long. You're not going to get many more donations. Like, fam, just take actual time off for yourself. Like, this isn't complicated. I don't stream every single day of the week on Twitch. It's the dumbest idea on the planet. Like, he could easily reduce everything down, but he chooses not to. So at that point where he moans about his social battery, I have to then say to him, well, then this is your fault. You bring this onto yourself. You are the instrument of your own self-destruction. Your contrarian hipster self-destruction.
You don't have to stream every day.
You don't have to stream for 9 hours either. I can do an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. If I've got someone with me. Well, yeah, on Twitch, though, the only time I can ever do longer streams is if I have someone there with me in the VC. And I could do 3 to 4 hours without really noticing. But it's not really worth it because I don't really make that much. But it's nice to have that, conversation, just a laugh, really,
I mean, shit. When I was streaming, I stopped paying attention to the chat because I was too engrossed in my game.
Trups had to remind me you guys were here today because I hadn't realised until he said it. Yeah. On the subject of elections, the New York appeals judge has denied Trump's bid to pay $100 million of the $454 million judgment. And they're also banning him from obtaining loans or new ones from New York banks until the appeal goes through. They are trying to prove that he has insufficient liquid assets to satisfy the judgment. This judgment is exorbitant. It's ridiculous. Why is it $454 million? That makes sod all sense.
Okay, so this has been quite a curious situation, actually, because of exactly that problem. Like, we don't know exactly where they came up with this number, because if you look back at, so let's start this off. He has to pay that $450 million.
Yeah.
That was what Gun Goran said about the fraud, the liability that he has to pay New York ? Even though the banks were never defrauded, they said so themselves. So the fraud is because I guess New York was defrauded.
Well,
but
it says
they're
here,
getting paid.
It's $450 plus $120,000 in interest every day. Judge Arthur Engoron found that Trump, his company, top executives, including sons Eric and Donald Jr., schemed for years to deceive banks and insurers by inflating his wealth on financial statements used to secure loans and make deals.
Yeah, but even that is a far cry from the truth because, let's say I'm selling you my house. Okay.
Ooh.
And I know, right? Crazy. My house, I bought it for a certain number. But let's just say, for all intents and purposes, I bought it for $300,000. And I'm offering it to you for $350,000. Now, when the house was built, it was maybe worth $250,000.
Do I get your wife?
I'm selling it to you. Well, no.
I'm taking Guinness.
You can't have my cat.
This deal,
I will kill you over my cat.
This negotiation is dog shit, mate.
I'm selling you a house, not a cat.
I'll take Stella.
Cats. The cat that I found outside did have kittens. So
deal.
Okay, cool. I'll send you like 9 kittens.
Yay.
They're adorable. Anyway, but I'm selling it to you for $350,000 because I estimate that it is worth that much given the area I live in and all the taxes going in, and it's being a larger area, right? It's getting more people going into it. I estimate, and the bank agrees, that it is worth $350,000.
Right.
Okay. So you buy it, and turns out I was right. In like 10 years, it turned into 400, maybe 450,000. Amazing. Yeah. Well, then you could then secure loans based on that 450,000, and somebody could come back and go, well, technically, when it was built, it wasn't worth that much.
Yeah.
So like, somebody found a example of that being Mar-a-Lago. When it was built in 1927,
that's a while ago.
It cost $18 million or $8 million to build.
That's expensive.
Yeah. In today's money from 1927, you'll be looking at about $150 million.
So he's not inflating his wealth then, really, is he?
No. In fact, he's probably underestimating his wealth. If you just use Mar-a-Lago, which the court said is worth maybe $20 million, which is hilarious.
Well, now we know where they got the number from.
Well, there was a sale of it at one point that for $18 million before. At some point, they found an article that said $18 million, right?
Yeah.
But it was from like 80 years ago. So even that is kind of shooting them in the foot. Mm-hmm. But they said it was $20 million.
Right.
Well, shit, there are places right next to it that are, like single family homes that are maybe going for $20 million. Sure, but this is an estate, a mansion. There was a video that I saw that was showing off like what the inside of this place looked like. It is a absolute gorgeous golden palace. It's insane. There's like Persian imported rugs. The walls have architectural like uniqueness. It's actually incredible. If you ever get a chance like to look up like inside Mar-a-Lago, do that. It's remarkably like it's very gaudy. Don't get me wrong.
Must be a complete stark contrast to the media's portrayal of it as being a cesspool with membership going down.
100%. I mean, the place looks like it's taken from like every like movies like sets. Like there's rooms that have Persian aesthetics and
I'm looking at pictures now. I'll for those who are interested, I'll put it on the screen. I don't know if these are doctored images, but there are pictures of Trump looking a bit.
I'll tell you if they're right when I see them.
It looks very gold.
Yes, actually, that is accurate.
I'm impressed.
Like, it's and that's just like that room. Like they have a billiard room in which, of course, Donald Trump has like his own like picture of himself sitting there. Right? Of course.
As you do.
Right. But there's that. There's a main dining area. There's a lounge. It actually is a mansion. So if you want to point out that just maybe just the land, $20 million. Okay, let's presume that it's not, but let's presume that
it's a big old place, though, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it is a waterfront property that extends from one end to the other. You can see it in this picture.
It's waterfront on both sides.
Yeah.
Is this supposed to be a golf course?
Beach. Yes, it has a golf course.
Okay. That's impressive.
But my God, it's insane.
Like $20 million for that, you've just driven the property value of everything else down.
Oh yeah, everything else. That house next door, that was like, oh well, we're right next to Mar-a-Lago. We can sell for at least $120 million. Nah, now you sell for $6 million. And real estate investors, even in New York, Katie Hochul, the governor of New York, actually even had to say, everything is okay. It's fine. You can still do business here in New York. Everything is fine, she says, trying to assuage investors who basically all realized that their exact process of estimating their value for all of their buildings are now precedent as fraud. So like this is everybody. Every real estate investor has done this exact thing. But you'll notice that the only people who are bitching is New York. Not the banks, who would actually be the people who were defrauded. No. New York is bitching. Which is weird because I would presume if you overinflated, like, if you overestimate the value of a location, shouldn't you be paying higher property taxes, therefore paying New York more?
You would think
but if you had a lesser assessed location, wouldn't you pay less in taxes? I don't know. My brain, because I own a house, so I kind of get where that goes.
I don't, because I don't own a house, but I'm intrigued.
I mean, you would imagine that if something was quote-unquote worth more, that you would pay more for it.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
So now we go back to the Trump issue. And so he is paying out the, what is it, $450 million. And the DA has threatened that if he does not pay, like the required loan, which is, I think it's got to be like a majority of the payment. I don't remember if it's like the entire payment or he has to put up like collateral for it. But he has to do that, or they're going to seize his assets. Under whose fucking authority?
How can they seize assets from New York all the way to Florida?
Well, Trump Tower is on Park Avenue.
Yeah, but I mean, he's not allowed to operate a business there anyway.
True. But Mar-a-Lago is also a New York LLC.
Oh, that could be interesting,
so
then.
They did try and move it, but the judge shut it down. Our taxes being paid, though. Probably some, if not, he's using the same tax exploits that every other rich person does.
Yeah, they usually take loans and dividends rather than actually paying themselves a salary.
Well, right, especially because if you use, let's say, I say that, oh, hey, we're going to, I'm going to do this much, but I'm also going to pay, X amount with philanthropy. Yeah. I'm going to do these things, and now I get a tax break for it. Well, sick. I want that, and yeah, I would like that tax break for all my philanthropy, all the good things I do. I get a tax deduction for that. Cool. Well, if I had enough money to actually like make it worth it, but like for places like Amazon, for Google, Microsoft, they do so much charity work that they basically pay nothing in taxes. Well, federal taxes.
Really?
And people are always like shocked. They're like, "Oh my God, I can't believe these millionaires and billionaires are not paying their fair share of taxes. We need to increase the capital gains and the income tax." Why? They're just gonna get tax deducted. The only thing that's going to hurt, or the only people who are going to hurt if you increase income tax and capital gains tax, are fuckers like me and you. Like, why would you want that? That's a dumb idea.
People are stupid.
They are. So, like, are taxes being paid? Probably not. But like, if the government really had an issue with that, they can fix that. They can pass laws and make those tax loopholes go away.
Yeah.
They don't want to because they use them too.
So I'm kind of curious, what's going to happen with his this judgment, this 450 judgment? Do you reckon they're going to force him to pay the full amount? I mean, even if say he did, are they then going to stop?
No, they are not. They are trying to ruin this man. They are trying so desperately to
just further proving my point about status
they
quo
will never
maintenance.
stop.
Desperate to maintain a status quo, they will continue. This obsession is pointless. We talked about some of the don't forget, this is the one that's taken front and center because all the others went nowhere.
Well, they all got delayed or something.
Like, you're just proving the point of how utterly feckless you guys are. You've
Mhm.
accomplished nothing. All you're doing is stealing money from somebody under a judge's ruling, which,
Yep.
by the way, I consider a massive overreach. If you're going to put these kind of charges against somebody involving this amount of money, I'm
Mhm.
sorry, that's a trial. It has
Mhm.
to be a trial with a jury. This to me looks like a judge just going, nah, fuck it, you can pay $450 million, you bitch.
Yep.
Like, that reeks of wrong to me. And it's not anyone who thinks that that's accepting a process, go fuck yourself, because you know I'm right. This does not look like due process, which is what it should be. This looks like corruption and shenanigans.
Well, it totally is. And the fact that Letitia James campaigned for her DA position under the guise of "we will get Donald Trump" doesn't make anybody think that this wasn't entirely political.
Well, I love
Actually,
that he's taking it so seriously right now. He was with Greg Abbott in Texas at the border, and on the same day, Biden was there as well with Border Force police because Abbott didn't want to meet him.
Mhm.
How weak is the president that he had to be walked with minders who are slowing down their own walking pace to go with him, while Trump and Abbott, who's in a wheelchair, are just gliding along in the same area, going and waving at Mexicans, which, by the way, is true. They were actually doing that. I've got the video of it on the screen in a moment. When I find it, I have it somewhere. Where is it? Did I delete it accidentally? I didn't put it on here. I'll go and get it. It's fine.
Okay.
But yeah, oh, it was drama like that. I actually tweeted it. They tweeted a thing of Trump at the border, waving at Mexicans with Abbott. Like that's what the former president is doing with the governor, while Biden is and Trump is not well is trending in politics, by the way. For those who can't see it,
Good, I guess.
yeah. Oh, he's always not well. If he's slightly sweaty, he's not well. Just thought I'd share that for a moment. So actually, that's the thing we could probably talk about. So recently, both Trump, obviously, was taking this fine quite seriously, and Biden were both at the Texas border. Now, if you are the president, you would surely want to look strong. You would want the governor with you. But it turns out Abbott refuses to suck off Biden because he's at the right height to not have to bend down to do it, and he refuses to suck off Biden because Biden's not doing anything to solve the problem. That's gotten worse over his entire tenure.
Yes.
So he'd rather meet Trump because Trump is the strongest member right now. I mean, he won South Carolina quite convincingly.
He did, and everyone keeps saying about how Nikki Haley, she got 40% of the vote.
Oh, but then she was like, I'm going to
Donald Trump
continue
is
fighting.
on the ropes.
Yeah, I'm going to keep fighting. It's her state. Is it not? Or is it North Carolina?
No, it was South Carolina. But the funniest part is that, okay, cool. So, like...
You still lost your state.
Yeah, well, not only that, but, like, yeah, okay. They lost 40% of the vote.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys know what primaries are or about, but, like...
Yeah, I vaguely know what a primary is because of this with you. But for me, the president going there to a state he is not welcoming, really, not being welcomed by the governor of the state, who is the head of that state. You're not welcomed. You're not welcome. You're not doing anything to solve the problem. You're just seen there for a photo opportunity. That's all you're there for. Whereas Trump goes there because he actually does want to do something about it. Something which he tried to do during his time in office, and the Democrats made it nigh impossible to accomplish it.
And not only that, but if you ever, I don't know how much you remember about the issues that Trump faced, but a while back during Trump's tenure as president, they complained that under Donald Trump we had kids in cages and all that stuff. But then it turned out that the pictures that they were using in said article was actually from Obama's time in office.
Oh, I've seen community notes on that shit. It's hilarious. Community notes on Twitter now are my favorite thing ever because they correct so much bullshit. And Arctic, you mentioned W, as in I believe you mean W. Bush. Yeah, he. I mean, minus the. I mean, he at least knew to take a shoot to the head as well. Well, I think he dodged it, didn't he?
Still,
I think he was an idiot publicly. I don't think he was an idiot
oh
privately.
no, I don't think he was an idiot privately at all. I think he was like Boris. He portrayed himself as his brain fired too fast for his own good. I think with Bush, his brain fired slow enough that he could actually be articulate. But he did it behind closed doors because it was easier to get things done.
I just cannot believe in my heart of hearts that the person from Connecticut, right, speaks with the Texan accent, and you know that's totally fine. And like, don't get me wrong, he was in Texas for a long time, but I don't know how much I believe that a guy from Connecticut who went to, like, I think it was Yale, you know, is that much of a, you know,
might be CTE.
hick,
You never know.
right? That much of a hick, you know, down home.
He's not as much of
country
a
boy.
he's not as much of a moron as his brother Jeb.
Yes,
Who
he
literally
was.
begged
He
the
actually is an
audience to
idiot.
applaud for him.
Yes, he was actually bad.
That was kind of tragic. In this instance, I looking at previous
clapped.
presidents just as he's clapped. Please clap. Sorry, yes, you're right. He's clapped as well. The previous presidents during my lifetime, I've looked at who you've had, all have very good oratory skills in their own way. And Biden did too 30 years ago, when he was advocating for things that by today's standards would be considered literally unfair and wrong and unjust and discriminatory. Yeah, he's a good politician.
Donald Trump actually even called out at a rally recently how bad Biden is. Like, Trump put on the entire Roomba, like,
no, did he?
thing. Like, he just kept going. Like, he would, you see him? He does this, and then he turns around. He walks like 3 feet. He points. He looks backwards at, like, the backdrop that he's got. He just stands at it for a good, you know, a solid 20 seconds. And everyone in the entire audience is just dying laughing. And I just sent you the video because it's hilarious.
Maybe that's why Trump isn't so well right now. Is it in my DMs or something? Oh, here it is. Boom. Okay, hang on. I'll put it on the screen for those who are interested. It might not play the audio on.
That's okay.
I'm going to start recording it on OBS so I can just. Yeah, I'll. Oh no, I have to unmute YouTube. Hang on.
No, don't worry about it. Like, we can.
No. I can do it. I just need to go mute our stream in one place because I've got it open so I can see the chat. Right. Unmute YouTube. Right, there we go. Screen capture. Here it is.
Because he can't find his way off a stage, as you all know.
Oh yeah, I remember him getting confused by this.
Mr. President, thank
How do
you.
they put
He makes
it
a
side
speech
by
that
side
lasts
is
usually about
actually
a minute and a half because the
disgustingly
octane
hilarious.
starts to wear off at a quickly. You ever notice he starts off strong? Within about 2 minutes, he can't talk anymore.
Oddly enough, the 2 minutes you can't talk. I paused it. I'm going to come back to us. The 2 minutes and then he can't talk thing was something I mentioned during his debates. Because I noticed when he did the debates in 2020, for about 20, 30, 2 to 3 minutes when he started talking, he was on point. He really was. And then the moment the moment Trump spoke, and then Biden had to come back and say something, Biden was like a granddad who'd just been smacked in the face by his grandkids and was confused.
He can't deal with any kind of like interference
That seems
as
ironic.
he's going. If you remember, I don't know if you actually ever saw the video, but there was a video of him giving a speech somewhere where he was getting
heckled.
basically he was getting heckled by somebody for Gaza, and he lacked the ability to like respond. One of the things he ended up saying was "don't jump," and I'm like, wow, brother, you telling him not to off himself? That's crazy. Wow, that's rude. It's funny, but
Smart
rude.
man, very smart man, shrewd and smart. He's as smart as gonorrhea.
Oh
So-
yeah, but like, really, that really? Okay, sure.
Yeah. Okay, so we are actually annoyingly running out of time, and I did have one other
know.
subject planned, but I'm gonna have to forgo it because it was about a brief election. Oh no, I can do it quickly. George Galloway, British politician. He served as a member of Parliament many years ago for Labour until he was yeeted from the party. He then created his own party called Respect. He was an independent for years. He has recently been re-elected and allowed back into Parliament, which he hasn't been in Parliament. He hasn't been in Parliament since 2015, I guess. Yeah, I think. Yeah, he hasn't been in Parliament since 2015. He is considered quite the racist guy. I mean, this is the man who sat with Saddam Hussein and said to him, "Sir, I salute your courage, your strength, your indefatigability." Yeah, and many oil drums were claimed to have been given to him as reward. During an appearance of Big Brother, celebrity Big Brother, he he dressed up as a cat in a leotard and nibbled fake food from the hands of Rula Lenska, and did the robot and other dance moves with others on that show. It was absolutely cracking. He also claimed while he was a politician younger, called Gorgeous George, by the way, he looked Gorgeous George, looked like a rip-off of Phil Collins with a mustache, to have shagged many a woman at many conferences, politically motivated. And he's very much
George is George Galloway.
Yeah. He
oh no.
He also he is right. So he has just taken over the seat of Rochdale. Rochdale's been held by Labour, with a majority that has held pretty firm since 2010. Since 2015, they've had a majority around 10 to 15,000 in seats, which is a big majority. The voter turnout is typically 60%. George Galloway is the chair of his own party, and he is now the leader of the Workers' Party of Britain and the only politician to serve for them. Labour have just taken a hit at a by-election by having him, he's one of the most controversial guys in politics, taking their seat. Keir Starmer has had to apologise for this. Keir Starmer has recently had win after win after win in by-elections. Labour have been annihilating it. This isn't a setback, this is an absolute car crash, because what Galloway stands for is very much in favour of Gaza, for example. And that, in fact, was exactly what he said when he won. Galloway said, Keir Starmer, this is for Gaza. This is going to, while it's only one person, it calls into in an area that's very heavily one-sided politically. It's a very left-wing region. The Workers' Party of Britain is a very left-wing populist party, right? They are very much in favour of standing up and vocally supporting Gaza. Problem with that is it runs counter to the message of Labour and, of course, the Conservatives, the status quo. So what are they going to do about this? Well, in our political sphere, unlike yours, they can't do shit. The funnier thing really is, he's just won a by-election, yeah? Well, we're having a general election this year, which means he has to campaign again this year. He doesn't get to be a 5-year guarantee politician. He has to campaign in about 3 to 4 months' time to keep his seat, which is even funnier to me because he's still going to win. Many Jewish groups are concerned about this victory because Galloway is an outspoken critic of Israel. In the past, Galloway has sat in your committee hearings being asked about whether or not he received payment or oil drums from Saddam Hussein. Because he had so many meetings with Saddam, he was what was it he was called? He was called he was considered a member for Baghdad Central, which is a riff on certain political constituency regions like Birmingham Central, London Central, Baghdad Central. He went to a High Court hearing accused of defending Saddam over a chemical weapons massacre, and all he did was shout, "How dare you!" When he was questioned about why he praised Saddam, he said he'd been referring to the courage of the Iraqi people, not the dictator. I'll read the quote again. "Sir, I salute your courage,
Your strength, your indefatigability. I've never seen that word before. It's lack of fatigue. There you go. That one. Indefatigability. I've never seen that word in my life. Sorry, but yes, that word. And he didn't talk about the people. He was talking about Saddam, you twat. I'm gonna put it in the chat for those who don't know the word I've never seen in my life. You're welcome. I'm afraid even I can be stymied by my own language. But yes, this man is back in politics, and he won by where was it? He won 40% of the vote in a contest beset by controversy and chaos. He also said, and I guess we'll have to end with this, you will pay a high price for the role that you have played in enabling, encouraging, and covering for the catastrophe presently going on in the occupied Gaza in the Gaza Strip. He won 12,335 votes. That doesn't sound like a lot, but he has a majority of nearly 6,000 votes. Right? Labour abandoned its candidate because, and this is what really did them in, over inflammatory comments they'd made about Israel, who ended up finishing in 4th place with just 7.7% of the votes. They held the 10,000 vote majority. They screwed this one. Who was the predecessor? Who was it? Was it? Oh, where are you? Where are you, you tool? MP for Rochdale. Tony Lloyd. Were you the one who just got done in? Yeah, Tony Lloyd. Oh no, he resigned, didn't he? I think he resigned. I think let's see, 2021 illness. Oh no, he died. There you go. That's why. Sorry, that man died, and obviously I'm sorry to his family. No, the candidate that took up place for him made some comments about Israel and Gaza as well, and basically Labour were like, well, shit. Problem they've got now is Galloway's still going to walk into the Commons, and at the moment the Speaker lets him, and he has to, the Speaker has to let Galloway speak. Every politician, when they enter the chamber and are voted in, they're allowed to speak. They have to be they're allowed to give a statement. Considering how divisive George Galloway is, how many people do you think are willing to be in that room, which I can imagine not many will be, and how many are going to try and shout him down? Because if they all stay there and they're there for when he speaks, they're going to scream him down if they can. And the Speaker's going to struggle, and they're in enough trouble as it is, the Speaker is anyway. Right? If there's no one in the room, Galloway then has nobody to challenge him when he says whatever the hell he wants.
I have no idea. Maybe like 12.
It's going to be hilarious. I actually want to hear what he says, because I know what he's latched onto a lot of very okay. I'm going to preface this by saying the following. This is not a negative, it's just an observation of what he has been doing. He has been latching onto Muslim communities to stand up for them.
Okay.
And that has made him very popular in Rochdale. Rochdale is also one of those areas where there were grooming gangs. We don't talk about that. Though. Yeah, we don't talk about that though, do we?
No.
But he is still. He's got a majority. Labour didn't have a decent candidate, and they have all year now to try and find one.
Yay!
He had right, okay. So the person who stood up for Labour was Azhar Ali, made anti-Semitic remarks. That's why they pulled their support for that Labour candidate. If Labour actually put a candidate up this time, there's a chance that Galloway will be defeated, but you can't guarantee it. Anyway, we've overshot this, and I know you've got to go and do things.
Yes, I do.
All right, we're not here next week, are we?
We are not.
It's been long overdue, folks. Don't worry, research streams for the Dainty is beginning next week. So there'll be streams on those fat tossers. Anyway, thank you all for joining. This will be on Rumble and Spotify tomorrow. I'll actually do it tomorrow because I have nothing else to do. Thank you again for joining us, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.